I did my favorite part of the brain on the frontal lobe, which is located in the front of the skull. The frontal lobe's functions are involved in controlling personality, behavior, emotions. It is also involved in judgment, planning, problem solving, memory, language. The frontal lobe also has Broca's area involved, which helps with speaking and writing. It is where body movement is controlled. Intelligence, concentration, and self-awareness are all involved in this part. The frontal lobe is the control panel of the brain, and it is also involved in sexual behaviors. Broca's area is located on the left side of the frontal lobe. Damage to this area causes difficulty in moving the tongue or facial muscles, making it hard for the person to produce speech. Reading and understanding spoken language is still possible, but they would have issues writing and speaking, which is called Broca's asphyxia. The frontal lobe is one of the most common places for a brain injury to occur. This would be usually sports-related or car accidents, where sports would include getting hit in the head by playing soccer, football, baseball, etc. Damage can cause changes in personality, limited facial expressions, and difficulty in interpreting the environment, as in that they would not be able to assess risk and danger around them. Phineas Gage is famous for suffering a brain injury that occurred in 1848 when an iron rod went through his frontal lobe while he was working. The rod destroyed a big part of his left frontal lobe, which would change him completely, where he suffered behavioral issues and a change in personality. His accident helped us to better understand how the frontal lobe is involved in major ways of who we are. The reason that the frontal lobe is my favorite part of the brain is because it is involved in regulating our personality and emotions. It affects our intelligence, self-awareness, and controls how we concentrate, which are all aspects that are involved in our everyday lives. So how would we be able to function without the frontal lobe? Without the frontal lobe, we would suffer complete changes in personality and behavior, like Phineas Gage once did, where he went from being a completely nice guy to a very aggressive and violent man. The frontal lobe is the most important part of the brain. However, it was one of the last ones to evolve. Humans have a larger frontal lobe when compared to our ancestors, the monkeys, which would account for a lot of the differences that are seen between our species. Without the frontal lobe, humans would be as evolved as a monkey, and we would not have the same intelligence and self-awareness that we do when compared to them. When looking at this picture, you can see far left, the first skull is of our earliest ancestors, which probably did not have frontal lobe at the moment yet. As you go to the right, you have number 5, which would be humans currently. You can see that the frontal lobe is developed at this point, which would account for the shape of the skull and the slant of this top line, which would indicate the presence of the frontal lobe. And you can see that this is different from the other 4 pictures because they did not have that evolved yet at that point.